Today on the channel, I'm back out here with the Nova project, trying to get some work done on it. Last time I was here, I finished up some of the wiring for the chassis. The brake lights, turn signals, and all that was wired up, and got a little bit started on the brake system, but I didn't have all the parts. So I went to like 3 or 4 different O'Reillys and AutoZones and couldn't find them. Ended up having to go to Summit and got the right ones. But we were in my girlfriend's car, and sure enough, I got out here today. My plan was I was gonna finish up the brakes and I was gonna put the hatch on, because there's a big hole right here, obviously, and that's what I wanted to do. I had the Zeus fittings, I had the hatches already, and I left the hatches, I left the Zeus fittings, I left the brake pieces that I needed to finish that up. But what are you gonna do? So I figured I'm gonna get anything I can done on it. Today I'm going to start on getting the hatch put on, and I'm going to try to get the brakes done as much as I can. Luckily I have all of the lines I think that I need. It's just a couple connection pieces, so I should be able to at least mock it up and get it put on the car. But one of the things I was going to do is on this car, I should make a video sometime about like where it kind of came from, but my buddy Smitty, and if you like channels like this, check out his YouTube channel, Smitty750. I'll put it down in the description. But he helped me with putting these on. Getting these replacement fenders put on was one of the first things that I did to the car, along with replacing the tail panel. Believe it or not, kid you not, there was aluminum foil in the tail panel. Some dude was like, "Hey Pam, go get the aluminum foil out of the kitchen." He was out here doing body work, I guess, however many years ago, who had the car before me. And I went in and we put a brand new tail panel in it, but I'm gonna get to it. At this point, since I had left the hatches at the house, and we weren't gonna let that stop us from getting stuff done today, I decided to make a quick trip up to the local Tractor Supply. The thing about Tractor Supply is, I always love going to Tractor Supply. The people who work there are always knowledgeable, and well, they most of the time will have what I need. Pretty much anything you could think of, from anything to fabricate or make whatever you need to make, replace whatever you need to replace, they have. And I have to say, I think this has to be my favorite aisle, because it has a little bit of everything. The reason I'm here is we got to get some hinges. And the first pair that I already got that I ended up leaving at home was something like this, and they're weldable hinges, obviously. So I ended up getting some more weldable flanges, just because they were a lot flatter on the end. Oop, I think I got it just about there, but I'm gonna trim up this right here from where I guess either the stock brackets are or were, make this a little bit level, and then I think this will sit in there pretty good. All right, sweet. I think we got it where we want it. That way I'm not seeing the hinge out of the top of it, hopefully, and it'll lay flush, allow us to open and close this. Now I need to do the same on this one, and then we're gonna figure out how we're gonna weld this onto the car. So it took me a minute, but no clamps or magnets would hold that up because this head's so heavy. So Mr. Grill stepped in and chalked the wheels. He's holding it up for us so I can get it. After we had the car and the hatch both marked for where we were going to put the hatches, I decided to pull the hatch off. I figured this will make it a little bit easier for us to get the hinges welded onto the car. Then I got to welding the hatches onto the car, both the driver's side and passenger side. Okay, after welding in place the brackets that go on the hatch and on the body, got it in place, and it looks super weird and I love every bit about it. It's a big old hatchback standing up on the back. Got a couple more things I'm gonna try to get done today. Next on the list is I'm gonna try to get some stuff done with the brakes. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just pulling it apart so that I can throw the tape on there. I wait till the end until I put the sealing tape on. That way when I'm pulling it on and off and bending, it actually lines up the tape. I don't have to worry about the sealed stuff getting all covered up. What I did is I ran a line all the way from the front, where the master cylinder is, all the way back. And had to connect it up to the edge of the bunch in there so they don't have that long. Just brought it back up to right here, and then I'm going to have a flex rubber line plugged into that. Got T at the end of it. Once I go to the junction, once I go to the back up. Once I get this, put on all the sprays, no sealing tape, Teflon tape. Should hold fluid, and then we'll pump the brakes, see if we got brakes. After we had all the brake lines hooked up with the thread sealing tape, I decided to wipe out the old master cylinder and fill it up full of brake fluid. Ashley was going to help me bleed the brakes, and we definitely tried for hours, but no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't get the old master cylinder to work. After confirming with Tim, we knew that was going to be the end of the day, so we'd have to come back another day. So what I'm doing right now is I just want to get these heads cleaned up. The heads that I got on it right now are some $7.99 heads with the LS platform. They're kind of like the 243 heads. The casting just isn't quite as pretty as the 243, but what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get all this grime out of here. Why I'm cleaning these heads next to pond out in like the middle of the yard or whatever. It's because we actually, you don't know, we full-time RV. So it's, I guess, somewhat ironic that the channel's called God's Garage, but I don't currently have a garage at the moment. When I started the channel, I still had a garage. We had a little place, but me and Ashley kind of started this adventure of, we said, you know what, everything's expensive as best, you know. Rent's getting crazy, cars getting crazy. Why not have something that we can own? We lined it up where I got a crazy deal on the RV, and it just made sense that within a year we could have something that was ours, paid off for less than what we were already paying for rent. And luckily I just got some good friends that have let me keep the car at their shop right now. But that's kind of why I'm out here sitting just by the RV with my little fold-out table. Is I just kind of, I guess the garage is wherever you make it. It's not really the four walls, you know. Your garage can be wherever you're just working on your car. The next day, we headed back up to the shop to finish the brakes and pull the engine. Before we put the new heads on, I wanted to clean it up and make sure it had a flat surface. The WD-40 has some lubricant over the surface. Like I was saying, what I'm doing is I just got a flat surface with a little bit of 500 grit sandpaper. It's not going to take a ton off, but it'll do enough just to give me a good mating surface for the head gasket itself. What I'm doing is use 500 grit on our flat block. Make sure it's something flat. You'll notice that I ran it this way the whole time. This is because you want it to be a flat surface, mating surface from here to here. And you don't want it to be flat to here and then there be a little bit less right here, or vice versa. So you run it down the entire length, and the sandpaper itself is as wide or wider, is what you prefer, than the head. The sandpaper is about yay wide, head's about yay wide. What you'll notice though is that in comparison to what it looked like beforehand, it's cleaned up a lot of that gasket residue from the old gasket. Once I had the heads cleaned up and freshened, I decided to make a trip up to Big Tim Parker's shop. He's one of the local racers, and to say the least, he knows his stuff. And he's got a little Chevy Love that he's doing a little work to right now, so we can't show it to you. But that thing is bad. At the same time, he's also proven it. He's won quite a few of the races and taken home a trophy or two. The good news is he took a look at the heads and he said, hey, I think these heads actually will work fine, but you can always do better. Such is the case with a race car though, right? So after looking at the heads, we're gonna use these heads, and I think they're gonna do just fine for what we wanna do. We finally got back up to the shop to get some more work done on the Nova, and Daisy, the shop dog, was there to welcome us. Yeah. As always, she's happy to see any visitor, and she's hoping that I had some type of treats.
She's got such pretty eyes.
I got the new master cylinder open and checked it to make sure that it would fit, and it had all the same fitting sizes as the old master cylinder. Once I knew that it was going to hook up to the lines, I put it in the vise and I got ready to start bench bleeding. Once the master cylinder was bench bled, it was good to go. I filled it full of fluid and we went ahead and installed it on the car. Once I started putting the lines on, I was reminded of how many trips I had to make to get all of the correct size lines for this car. Probably over 10 at least. I installed the brake proportioning valve, made sure everything was tight, and then we cracked all of the bleeder valves on the car to let it gravity feed while we pulled the engine. Then we got the car pushed into position so we'd have a little bit more space, and I got the engine hoist out to get this thing pulled out and get the head swapped out. Once I had the engine set on the ground, I broke all of the transmission bolts loose with the ratchet and then used a 3/8 drive impact to zip them all out. I got the transmission and engine apart and the engine put up on the engine stand and started disassembling. First thing was I started pulling off the valve covers and then pulled out the rockers. Once the rockers were out, I could pull out the push rods. Next step was breaking each one of the head bolts loose so that we could get the head off. Ashley was out in the shop today, so she decided to help me pull the heads off. It was her first time using a 3/8 impact, so she had to get used to it at first, but she got the hang of it. so bad.
Oh, babe. Oh, I can see it. You want to show the camera before I stop it?
Whoops. So, in case you missed that, I just sliced the crap out of my hand. These LS engines, if you're running any kind of boost or anything, a lot of times you'll use an MLS, a multi-layer steel gasket. And they're super thin layers. It's like 5 of them, but they all compact together. And there's like a little tab on one of them that sticks out, and it is basically a razor blade. Just sliced pretty deep into my hand, so zip ties and shock towel for the wind. And I think I'm gonna keep pulling stuff apart. I don't think this is gonna stop me from today. And I can try to make some progress. See what we can do. It's time to get these brakes bled. Wait. Finally, after like, I don't even know, probably 10 different trips to the auto body store, we might be able to have some brakes finally. So, take a play. 3 pumps and then hold.
1, 2, 3, holding.
Let out. All right, so it was a productive but a little bit painful day 2. Sliced my hand wide open, so let's see what this thing looks like. Hold that for me. It's been long enough, I imagine I can pull the old zip ties off of it. Yeah.
It stinks.
But we got a bunch done today. We got the brakes finished up. We got the new master cylinder installed. We got it bench bled, had good fluid coming out of it, no bubbles. We got the rear brakes bled, and we mostly got the front brakes bled. Normally, you know, I had Tim actually recommended me to, whenever I do a new system like this, to just let it gravity bleed for as long as I can, and he said it could take up to 24 hours. We didn't have that much time today, so I gave it probably 5-6 hours while we pulled the engine out. You guys saw that, and at the end of it, it just still wasn't enough. We kept pumping, so I'm gonna let it continue to gravity bleed. I'm leaving the fronts open, and I'm gonna let it continue to gravity bleed. But when we get back, we'll get that thing finished up and bled. We got the old heads off. We got the new heads decked and ready. Now, next thing that I'm gonna probably do is something you might see in this episode or next episode. I haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna do a quick valve job on those new heads to make sure that they seat up good. We'll put the new springs on the new heads, and then once those heads are ready and sealed up, then we'll put it back on the engine. We'll get to put that thing back in there, hopefully for the last time, and we can start adding turbo parts to it. But if you guys are subscribed already, thank you for being subscribed. Thank you for watching and the support. I really do appreciate it. I never imagined people would actually want to see this stuff, but turns out they kind of do. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to have lots of videos just like this, lots of racing videos, and thanks for watching. Got to go.